So a few years back, I came across a Future Audio Workshop Circle. Now, this had a real unique vibe to it because it was very instructional in terms of when you're actually doing the sound design, allowing you to understand the implications of all of the things that you're doing. So it had a very visual approach to things like the envelopes, the LFO modulation, and so on. I used it in some point blank courses because it was a great way to explain some important concepts about synthesis and sound design. So there is a brand new version here, Circle Squared, Circle 2, and this is something that I really haven't touched for a little while. You know, as you guys know, I use a lot of different applications and plugins. And so it's very difficult for me to remember exactly what to do when I've had some space away from something. And I'm always rotating things, always got different things that I want to do. So what I'm going to do is literally just come back to Circle and see if I can remember how to use it. And I'm going to basically go through some stuff. I haven't read the manual. I have no idea what the updates are. So we're going to do a little bit of a discovery session first of all and see what's going on. Okay, so let me just firstly trigger a sound on the keyboard. Now this has quite an interesting tone actually. Let me just take the octave down. So let's investigate. The oscillator section over here has a series of oscillators. You can see here 4 oscillators stacked, and then there's a noise generator and something called feedback. Now these 4 oscillators can be played simultaneously, and I'm assuming the noise can be laid on top as well. So that's actually quite a lot of oscillators straight away. Only one is being heard at the moment. You can see that active up here. It says VPS. I'm going to drop it down. Got some other choices here, so analog oscillator wavetable and VPS. Let me just check out this VPS. Okay, so some interesting labeling here. Horizontal. Very interesting movement in tone there. So that's being described as horizontal. I'm unaware of this particular method of synthesis, so I've got no idea what it's doing. Let me try vertical. Now, when I'm moving the rotating dials here, have a think about the fact that you could map some modulation to them, because you can. It's very easy. You see these little boxes. When I say boxes, I should say little circles underneath. And these basically are destinations. You could drag something like an LFO over there to create some movement. I'll take a look at that later. So coarse tuning, I think this is going to be self-explanatory. So we're moving up or down in semitones. The maximum range is 24, so positive 24, negative 24. Very standard. Fine tuning up to 100 cents. So let me just get the value back here. I'm not particularly good with my hand on the left, so my left hand on the mouse, so I might not be getting too accurate here. So VPS, I wonder what it stands for. I should look up the documentation. If you know what it is, give me a shout in the comments and let other people know as well. Analog. Now this is going to be very traditional, I'm sure. Yep, so we've got a sawtooth there. Sine wave. Square or pulse. And then triangle. So this is all very standard. Let me adjust the pulse width. Let me see how that sounds. That's how we should imagine it to sound. Very common for the pulse width on the square wave there to do that. What else we got? We got sync. I'm assuming that's going to use something else. So let me just adjust this. So with sync on, maybe it's not set up with the coarse, maybe it's set up with the fine tuning. Try again. So, okay, there must be another way to route something into this to adjust that. Or maybe it's the width. No. Okay, so that's just the same as it was before. So sync, so oscillator sync, you get that real nice kind of hard edge, you know, that Daft Punk kind of vibe. I'm not sure how that works. So once again, if somebody knows how to do it, give me a shout. I will read the documentation and pick up on this another time. Sub, is that a sub oscillator? That seems to be taking it a whole octave lower. Yeah. Okay, taking it off. Right, so look, that's the analog waveforms. So what else we got? Wavetables. I'm going to drop this down. Okay, up here. Now. Okay, so this, I do believe this is how it used to be. I don't think anything new is going on here, but possibly some new waveforms. So look, if you're used to massive, the whole concept of wavetables, you have one waveform and another, and you can blend between the two. And these are quite eccentric. There's a whole range here. Love this visual display. You can see the waveform and some really interesting ones. See what I'm going to do. Let me just go to this one, and let me take this crossfader to the top. That's one of the waveforms. Let me try another. Right, it sounds like an organ. So what we're talking about here is a whole load of extra sound sources that you can use when you're constructing elements. Let me come up here, let me pick another one. Let me come down and crossfade all the way. Let's pick another sound. That sounds quite interesting. Let me blend the two. Okay, so look, let's get some context on this. I'm thinking what would be good is to see if I can map an LFO to that. So there is an LFO section here. If I turn the power on, so this is great. This is one of those instructional things that I was telling you about, the fact that you can see the movement of the LFO. Now, this motion is showing you how it's journeying from a central point to a positive point, back down to the central point, to a negative, and then back up to the middle again. Let me slow the rate down. There we go. That's amazing. So this stuff is really helpful in sound design. You can see how this is being used to go through this journey from the center to the top, back down to the middle, right down to the bottom, then back up again. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to map this onto these two so that we get, firstly, a cross blend between the two. Then we're going to have one waveform coming back again to the crossfaded, back down to the other one. So it's up and down. So let me get this. I'm assuming I can pick this up and drag it over. Look at that little blue dot. There we go. I love that. Let me take the level up, increasing the amount. A much more pronounced tone variation. So as that's happening, what I want you to do is to imagine over here that I was taking the crossfader and it's going up and then down, up and then down. So that's what's going on. Let me try and get the value correct here. There's probably like a keyboard command that I can use to get the central point. Let's try and get that back. Oh, maybe the 0.5 is halfway. All right, let's just do that. There we go. So once again, watch the LFO. And let's speed it up. And of course, we could do that synchronized to tempo if you've got a clock there. So you've got synchronized to the host. I'm actually running with this standalone at the moment, so that it doesn't apply. The other thing that I like about this is we can delay this. So if I increase that, so it's going to basically start off normal, and then over a period of time, it's going to bring the LFO in. So look, 3 seconds or so. And let's put a fade in as well, because that sounds a little bit weird when it's abrupt. So tons of control. Let's just, as a contrast, pick something different on the other waveform. So instantly you can hear that this is something that could be great for sound design. Really cool. So, okay, what I want to do is take a look at something different. I'm going to see what else we've got going on here. Just going to start again from scratch. Going to switch down to the analog oscillator. Let's go to sine wave. And on the envelope over here, I'm assuming this is the volume envelope. Let me just have a look. Okay, so envelope. And yeah, I think so, because when I introduce a filter, if I turn this on, or maybe it's this. Okay, so I tell you what, I think, let me just double check, I'm going to see this. I think this is hardwired in to be the envelope for volume. And I can test this by taking this and then putting a slower attack. There we go. And here's something that I told you, this thing is good for educational purposes. If you're struggling with dealing with the whole concept of ADSR, this is something that's going to really help you. So look, watch. When I push my key down, how long does it take to get up to the maximum volume? That's the A part of an ADSR. And then what happens is, whilst I've got it down, how long does it take to go down to the sustain level? And that sustain level is actually quite high. So let me bring this down. Let's take the attack time slower. So look, watch. Even slower. Let me take it out. Let's say about 2 seconds or 3 seconds for the attack, 3 seconds for decay, and it goes down to the sustain level. And then we just take the release out longer. So that's time it takes for it to go from the sustain level down to silence. So here we go again. Nice and clear. Sustain level, it will stay there as long as my key is held down. Now when I let go, it's going to fade down. You're going to watch it go from that S to the R. So as I said, for educational purposes, this is fantastic. So I tell you what I'm going to do for you, right? So let's take up the sustain level. Nice strong sound. Let's take that release shorter. So volume envelope up here. Let me just do something else for you. Sawtooth, a rich complex sound. So what I'm going to do now is on the filter, let me see what modes we've got. Yeah, low pass is good. So I've brought this down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the envelope over here and map this onto frequency. So let's turn this on. Once again, I love this thing for education. Right, so if you're struggling with filter envelope, have a look at this. So we've got at the top here, volume envelope. It's nice and loud. All right, so ignore that. That's just for the volume of the sound. Now, this envelope is affecting the filter cutoff frequency. So in terms of the ADSR, basically what's happening is we are going from the frequency that this is closed down to. All right, so let's just say 83 Hertz, that's down here. The time it takes to go up to the maximum amount, and so you see over here, that would be up here, so 10 whatever K. So the attack is the time it takes for the filter to go from this frequency all the way up to the top to the highest frequency. So watch. So that's it. It's going on that journey. It would have gone like this. You see? So that's really helpful. If you wanted to reduce the height, I'm assuming you can do that here. So you see this? If I bring that down, look. So I've disconnected it. So I'm still getting used to this thing. Then we drag it on here. If I click on it once, we get the slider for the amount. So if I bring this down, that means the actual frequency we get to at the top is going to be lower. Okay, so this is the amount over here that the filter is modulated by this envelope. So let me just speed that up. Let me take the sustained frequency down, and let's take the release out. You hear that? So what's happening is after it goes to the maximum frequency, it comes down to the frequency. So it takes the decay amount of time. So let's say about 1 second. It will come down to the sustained frequency. So that's basically the frequency it ends up whilst I've got my key held down. and that's going to be relative to the cutoff frequency here down the bottom. So here we go. And when I let go, it comes down here and it fades down. But the reason we're not hearing that is because of the release time on the amplifier. So this is on the volume. So if I take that out, we're going to get a different story. So here we go. So that's wicked. All right, really, really useful. Let's make a little bass sound. I'm going to go to the square wave. And let me take the release shorter. Let's take this over here. Let's take the octave down. For me, that's just a little bit too bright at the top. So remember, we can adjust the filter frequency, the amount it's being affected by that envelope. Right, tell you what, let's do something else, a bit of resonance. Just adjust this a bit more. Maybe just a little bit too long on here. Let me increase the release on there a bit. So that's working nicely. I just want to have a look at something. What I'm looking for here is the ability to go monophonic, right, polyphony. I'm going to take it down to 1. It's working nicely. Let me just see what unison does, see if that works as we might expect it to. I'm not getting any activation there. Let me just see what happens here. Maybe the unison is only available on multi-polyphony. It is. Okay, so what I was looking for was the monophonic vibe with a bit of unison to create that kind of detuned Mr. Fingers kind of bass. So maybe I'll try something different. So yeah, the unison works with anything when you're above the polyphony of 1. Let me take that back to normal. So let me just dive into effects and let's have a look. What have we got? Have we got a chorus? Spread that out. Take the mix up. Once again. Let me take that sustain level down. It's working nicely. Let me just adjust the amount here. Okay, so that's working nice. Let me see what other effects options there are here. Okay, bucket delay, tube distortion. Let's try a bit of distortion. Let's take the mix up a bit. Okay, distorting it too much. Let's take it off. It's adding a nice little extra dimension to the sound there. Interesting. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just try another oscillator here. Let me try and layer one of those wavetables and see what we got. Let me just take one wavetable. Wow, a lot of variation here is possible. I like that actually. And we could, of course, change the tuning. Let's maybe go 5 higher. Works better as a straight up octave shift, that one. Just curious, I want to try a bit of fine tuning. Love that. That's got a real kind of darkness to it. And what's great is we can use the mixer here to adjust the levels. I like it. I like it a lot. So let me just see what else is there. Something else I might want to drop in here. Maybe a bit of reverb. Let's see how it sounds. All right, so that's that for the moment. Now, there are some sequenced modulation options somewhere. Let me have a look at this. Right, sequencers. So let me have a think. If I was to turn this on, and you can see here we've got some steps. All right, so this is like a step sequencer. So what I want to do is I want to put some values in. I'm curious here. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. Right, let me just try something. Just put some of these in. I wonder if I put this onto pitch. Let me pick this up. So what do we got? Okay, I'm assuming that I'm going to need to put this onto coarse pitch. So I'm going to drag this up. And I can't get that right. Okay, let me just see what's going on here. This could be something to do with the way that I am doing this. Can I move this up? Because what I want to do is drag that onto the oscillator here. Let's do this here. So onto coarse tuning. That's working. Put sync on. Okay, so that is what it's doing is it's modulating the pitch of the second oscillator, and I'm trying to get my aiming right here. There's maybe something that I don't know. Maybe you can drag and drop or reorder these. Maybe there's another way to get this mapped on. Maybe it's a right click or something like that. Who knows? But what I'm trying to do is to get my purple pinky dot here onto that. So I need to read the manual. So there's bound to be a way to do that. So maybe let me just try here. Let me try a right click. No, that's not working. Interesting. It's an interesting texture. I'm not sure if that's exactly applicable to this kind of a sound, to be honest. I'm going to turn it off. But that option is available. I think what I need to do, yeah, I mean, I think that bass itself is much better. I think what I need to do, in all honesty, because I really want to do this justice, I love this synth. I think it's really cool. You can see why I like it from the educational perspective. You can see literally the way that the envelope is flowing, the LFOs, all of these kind of modulation sources. You can see why the sound is changing, and that's so useful. So what I need to do is spend some proper time with this and learn it properly, and I can really delve into this, and I'll see if I can get some other sounds created. Leave some comments about the kind of sounds that you'd like me to attempt to do, and let's see if I can do them. But this is a really nice first look at Circle 2 or Circle Squared from Future Audio Workshop.